Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
An oft-repeated complaint of the northeastern states is that the policies of the centre are characterized by stepmotherly treatment. The question that naturally emerges is, why is this part of the country so dependent on the centre? And why is the mobilization of internal revenue by the state governments so negligible? Agenda discusses the issue.
The 7 states of the Northeast are among the most economically backward in the country and figure way behind in the All India Development Index. The internal resource mobilization by the state governments is negligible. Its vast internal potential remains untapped, and the states are perennially dependent on the centre for grants, aids, loans, and other benefits for their development.
The amount of money that we have poured in that area, besides the state annual plans and the state 5-year plans, quite a huge amount has been spent so far.
The interest own region only, not this is not tribal areas like Arunachal Pradesh or tribal area like northeastern states. This is my own perception.
The plan allocations are not sufficient. They can hardly take care of the needs and aspirations of the Northeast. To do away with this paradox, the Northeastern Council was constituted in 1972. But almost 2.5 decades after it was formed, there has been severe criticism about its functioning. The demand for its restructuring and even of winding it up has often been raised.
Every time whenever it demand the money, the answer was that NEC is not distributing money according to population of the state. If that is so, then how Tripura can develop? How Tripura can benefit?
If I mistake not, about 2,400 crores as NEC they have invested in that area. But they feel that because the schemes have not been completed, they don't allow the schemes to be completed. They keep it incomplete, ask for the new schemes. So everything remains incomplete, and they feel that all the schemes are mostly incomplete. So they are not getting the proper treatment.
And we are here in search of fun, and we have come here to discuss with you.
Related to the lack of development is the problem of insurgency. The situation continues to be grim, and respite is nowhere in sight. The centre's attitude on this major problem is of vacillation. At times, the centre sanctions huge amounts for the rehabilitation of the surrendered militants, but at other times, the reverse is true. The case of Tripura is a typical example. More than 4,000 militants have surrendered in the state, but the complaint of the Chief Minister is that the centre does not sanction enough finances for the rehabilitation of the surrendered militants.
There was some accord with the central government, and they have only assigned 400 people. For that, for the rehabilitation, they have supplied 30 crores of money for that 400 people. But our people, you see, we, during our period, through our accord, you see, more than 3,000 extremists, they have signed their arms, but they have given only 2.38 lakhs, 2 crores 38 lakhs only. But our demand is 71 lakhs crores.
Lopsided development priorities in the region have taken their own toll. Oil is being drilled in Assam, yet the refineries are in Barauni in Bihar and in New Cooch Bihar. This has resulted in depriving the state of valuable revenue. At the same time, most of the oil revenues are appropriated by the centre, but the compensation by the centre is not adequate.
We had to go from pillar to post for small things, because people don't understand, they don't appreciate our problem. They don't realize our problem. They think that we are also like Maharashtra or like Gujarat or like they say Delhi. But northeastern region is not like Delhi. Situation is different, problem is different, requirements also different. So unless they have that knowledge, how can they help us?
Initially, there was no communication between Delhi and Northeast. There was a lot of difficult areas. But now, the fast communication, it is bringing them close. There is a little problem. A little problem, I can say in this way, that we should exchange our views.
Increasingly, the feeling is of stepmotherly treatment by the center. It is commonly felt that the center lacks any clear perception on the Northeast and that the legislators are not well informed about the region.
You can ask anybody, whether you can ask any MPs from South or some other part, ask, where is Arunachal Pradesh? Where is Nagaland? They got very poor knowledge about Northeast. This is what I have studied. When in age also, they don't know what he's talking about.
Rajiv Gandhi could see all the villages, almost all the villages. Why not secretaries holding key position? Why not ministers holding an important portfolio dealing with this development of that area?
Those who are having the homesickness feeling, they feel that we are away from this place. We don't have that, emotional relationship with the rest of the country, which is a wrong concept. Of course, in this feeling, a lot of salt, our enemies sitting across the country, they are also adding to it.
I have the information that ISI Pakistan is running their camps in Bangladesh. I have brought to the notice of the Prime Minister of Bangladesh that this is the situation. If you want any information in this respect, we are prepared to give you. We can give you their definite locations and their telephone numbers. They go on frequently changing their houses and also the telephone numbers. But at the same time, it's not that difficult to locate as to where they are.
The much talked about dependence of the northeastern states on the center needs closer scrutiny by both the policy planners at the center and at the level of the state governments. There have been situations when the matter of dependency on the center has been used to hide local shortcomings. However, in a press conference on the 16th of this month, S.S. Ahluwalia, the Minister of State for Urban Affairs and Employment, announced the Rural Poverty Alleviation and Urban Development Program, which is supposed to benefit the northeastern states in a big way.
Recently, about 100 war veterans of the Indian National Army gathered at Moirang in Manipur to celebrate the 50th anniversary of INA's Dilli Chalo campaign. 18 other members retraced the route taken by the INA to liberate India from the yoke of the British rule. A special story. "50 years after the historic Delhi Chalo march of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, former soldiers of the Indian National Army are on the way to retrace the footsteps of Netaji from Padang in Singapore. They are led by Akhil Bakshi of the Prime Minister's office and include Sunil Dutt. The team has been joined by hundreds of others, which include the former INA soldiers. The enthusiasm of the people was overwhelming. They will now move on to Meghalaya and Bangladesh en route to Calcutta on 23rd of January, which coincides with the birth centenary celebrations of Netaji.
We sailed from Penang into Moulmein in Lower Burma. 5 members of our expedition, including Colonel Dhillon of the INA and Colonel Lakshmi Sehgal, are still in Myanmar visiting those battlefronts in Mount Popa, Baganyu, Mektila, Inle Lake, where they were arrested. They're still there.
Actually, this expedition will have definitely a very good effect on the youth. And this was actually the mission. And when he announced his desire to have this expedition, I volunteered myself. Because I thought this will have a nice.
Youngsters must work for the country. Today, I see people, when I see them, they wish namaste. They say namaskar. Even the Air India hostesses I spoke to, they do not know the meaning. I said, why don't they say Jai Hind? This is what we say. They do not know the meaning. Jai Hind, if you always say Jai Hind, that you have got a watchword. You know how to glorify India, victory for India. That you don't do. Another thing is that when they meet each other, they speak in English. The language that has been ruling you, the slavish blood is still there. They must have a common language. They must learn the language.
The Tripura Adivasi Mahila Samiti was established way back in 1959, and since then it is engaged in providing yeoman services to the upliftment of rural women. Our next section, Canvas.
The Tripura branch of the All India Women's Conference was established in 1959. Since then, it has accomplished important social and economic achievements. A voluntary, non-political organization, it functions at Teliamara, Mohanpur and Jorma blocks. With financial help from various governmental sources, the Samiti has been able to render service to rural and poor women of Tripura. The educational program of the Samiti runs a Balwari Center and an English medium nursery school. Young rural women who wish to continue their education are given coaching and helped to appear for the secondary board examination. With financial assistance from Tripura State Tribal Welfare Department, the Samiti runs a hostel for tribal girls. Samiti runs creches in tea garden areas and slums. Central Social Welfare Board's Local Self-Government Department of Tripura have provided financial help for this project. Samiti has come to the assistance of poor women weavers in a big way. Handloom training and production centers have been set at Debyapala, Doa, Arer, Uttar Maharai and Krishnanagar. The tailoring training program of the Samiti has been training women of slum areas since 1993. The Samiti is also running a working women's hostel at Agartala and a short stay home for women who need shelter and protection. The Samiti is actively participating in the rubber plantation scheme of the Rubber Board. Training tribal women in rubber plantations in 19 villages is an important work of the Samiti. The Samiti has already sponsored 10 tribal women to the training program of the Rubber Board. The Samiti has distributed 5,500 smokeless chullas in rural areas, organized 11 oil conservation lamps, and has led consumer awareness drives. In 1994, the Samiti organized sericulture, mushroom, and vegetable cultivation in West and South Tripura districts. Sponsored by All India Women's Conference, the Samiti organized a Panchayati Raj training program in 1994.
Ever since the army was deployed in the northeast to combat insurgency, it has won both bouquets and brickbats in equal measure, especially in the field of media reporting. Recently, The army organized a media seminar and discussed the issues involved.
The soldier is to be continually told that he is dealing with the misguided citizens of his own country and not fighting an enemy. His entire training now has to be focused on dealing with an elusive militant who strikes at will from the most unexpected of places and does not conform to any established rules of warfare. He can be brutally destructive, but takes shelter behind human rights violation when he is replied to in the same coin.
Now, what is our role? Role of the state is, the fundamental role of the state is to let every citizen live in peace.
Unfortunately, again, part of our media also has taken it as a fashion to lambast the armed forces with human rights allegations without, I repeat, without looking into the correctness of the facts and figures that they are quoting.
The army in the northeast is engaged in an unenviable task. Deployed for the counter-insurgency operations in the region, it has faced both bouquets and brickbats. Its role has been both lauded and come under severe criticism. With the renewed emphasis on the human rights in the recent times, the role of the military and the paramilitary forces in the counter-insurgency operations have come under closer scrutiny, especially by the media. But a fact remains that most of the cases are concocted and made out to deter the security forces from carrying out their duty, and that efforts are made to put the army in the negative light, a strategy. The statistics available at the Guwahati court show that over 95% of the cases filed against the army were dismissed by the court without passing any adverse comment on the army. But the damage has largely been done. Media reports all such cases of alleged human rights violations with much alacrity, but the dismissal by the court finds only marginal reference and in most of the cases no reference at all.
If the news is gone, either the print or the television, you cannot go back and say, "Ye jo pehle bola tha wo bhul jao ya to galti se bol diya." No. Before doing that mistake, one has to be very, very sure. One has to be very, very clear in his mind.
No one had known of this place until a few years ago. Situated in the Sonitpur district of Assam, random digging had unearthed some exciting and interesting finds and sculptures. Northeast File takes you to the site of this excavation.
A chance visit to the Ganesh temple by the district commissioner of the Sonitpur district, MGVK Bhanu, led to rare archaeological findings. Intrigued by the carvings on the corner of a single stone jutting out of the culvert of the Nala, he ordered the digging of the stone. On removing the stone, several other carved stone figures of Hindu gods and goddesses were discovered. It led to the discovery of 18 sculptures, 8 of which are more magnificent and believed to date back to the 6th century. Later, the district commissioner ordered excavations of certain areas in the region. The people of the region welcomed this decision on the part of the district administration. At the same time, some lamented that it had taken so long for the authorities to discover this rare treasure. Some of the more interesting pieces are on display in Cole Park.
Yeah, there are many stones in Tejpur where some people have used them as the foundation for their houses. We are trying to recover them also. As you can see, these stones are mostly belong to a predominantly Hindu state, and most of them are gods and goddesses of Hindu religion. And we are trying to get them studied by archaeologists and historians. Only they would be able to tell to which period and what is the significance of these stones.